I'm not zero waste. Going zero waste has never been my intention. It just is not possible. I've been talking about zero waste movement for 3 years now. And honestly, it's not my cup of tea anymore. I've had a problem with this movement from the very beginning. And I've even been vocal about it a few times in the past. So let me just put a disclaimer here. I'm all for reducing your waste. And I do believe that some of the habits that I followed in this zero waste movement has been super beneficial too. But that said, I do have certain problems with this movement as well. So why then do I still use the word zero waste so frequently? Well, the reason is searchability, or to make my videos more SEO friendly. Yes, to put it bluntly, nobody searches for how to be more sustainable in a practical manner or how to have lesser waste at home. No, people usually search for how to have a zero waste home or how to be zero waste today. So these are things that people usually type in to understand sustainability. So the word zero waste has become a very popular keyword, and that's exactly why I use it to improve the searchability of my videos. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a problem with the movement as such. So what is my problem with this movement then? When I started with this movement in 2018 or so, what it represented was people who had collected 2 to 3 years of their waste in one single small mason jar. So it seemed as if the movement was all about attaining this goal of a mason jar of trash, nothing more. And that made it almost feel unattainable. I know in 2022 we have all come to the conclusion that that was a load of bullshit. And we've called it out too. But back then, when people were starting out, it seemed such an impossible thing to attain. It was so intimidating that a lot of people who even wanted to try it out did not want to be known for this movement because they felt it was not possible for them, because it portrays a kind of perfectionism that is not attainable by everyone around. It seemed like a very privileged thing to do for a select number of people. That's where I have a huge problem. The one thing about zero waste that I really did not like is that it failed to recognize its privilege. Not everybody has access to bulk stores where you could get everything for yourself in your own containers. That just wasn't possible for most people. And that made them feel like failures. It just made you look like you weren't trying enough. I had the opportunity to be a little more sustainable or zero waste because of the fact that I was living in a tier 1 city in India where this movement was becoming more and more popular, and I had the privilege of having more accessibility to these kind of stores. But whenever I went down to my hometown or other tier 2 cities, it just was not possible. I've tried my best. There has been possibilities of small amount of zero waste, but on a large scale it just was not possible. Even if you wanted or tried your best, it just made you feel like a failure. And the problem was that the zero waste movement made it look like it was either black or white. You either had to do everything or you did nothing. There was no in between, which is where I have the problem. So one thing that we've unlearned over the years about the concept of zero waste is that it did not really have a lot to do with having perfectly looking pantry with these glass containers or having to get everything in bulk in your own cloth bags or your own produce bags. No, we can have and use whatever we already had in our homes, whether it is plastic or glass or steel or wood or anything that we already had and using it for as long as possible, we've recognized to be the most sustainable thing to do. So something that a lot of you may not be aware of is that when the zero waste movement started, it was kind of fully whitewashed, meaning it was a lot of privileged white women talking about reducing their waste. It was not inclusive, nor did it talk about the different cultures that already were practicing this without using the term zero waste. So, if we take India, it has always been a land which embraced sustainability for a very long time until a few decades back. So, when I started talking about sustainability in my channel 3 years ago, there were hardly any people of color was talking about this or relating it to their culture. It took me a while to recognize how this had been something that our grandparents or the people before them had been doing for a long time as a normal part of their life. We did not recognize because of the fact that we had strayed away from our roots of sustainability in the last few decades. As a vegan in India, I've come to recognize the importance of incorporating plant-based food items in my diet even if it came in plastic, because the impact my diet as a vegan had on the earth was much greater. And I also wanted to make veganism as accessible to as many people as possible. So if I was trying to be picky about veganism, about this whole plastic products, then I would be making veganism almost impossible to attain. And I did not want to do that. And hence I came to terms with the fact that certain vegan items like mock meats or plant-based milks will always come in plastic in the time being. And the fact is that I would have been shamed for that in the past because of the usage of plastic, no matter what the reason, by the zero waste movement. So another aspect that I've seen in the zero waste movement is DIYing everything. Making your own toothpaste or shampoos or plant-based milks. And as much as I'm all game for people who actually do all that, I feel one shouldn't shame others who choose branded products over making their own homemade ones. Because we don't realize that some people may not have the time or inclination to be able to make everything at home, and that's okay. As long as whatever they're choosing is sustainable in nature, it should not bother you at all. It's not a competition between one group of people and another group in the same movement. It should never feel that way, because there are merits and demerits for both the sets, and whatever you choose, if it's what suits you, that should be all that matters. And one should not feel superior to the other because of what you choose to do. And that is what I feel should be a way of involving every kind of people in this movement. So these were a few pain points that I've recognized in the zero waste movement, and why I chose to say that I'm no longer zero waste, or that I live an imperfect zero waste life. I would still be using the word zero waste, but know that it's only for means of searchability, and I may also use terms like low waste, low impact, or eco-conscious, which all means the same thing. So what are your thoughts about the zero waste movement? Do you also use the word zero waste? If so, why do you do that? Let me know down in the comment section below. So I will see you in the next one. So until then, bye bye.